dramatic moment in a Brooklyn courtroom today. Mexican drug king Joaquin El Chapo Guzman.
This conviction is a victory for the American people who has suffered so long and so much.
Gangs and criminal organizations have long held a captivating grip on public consciousness. From movies to documentaries, they conjure images of shadowy figures controlling the underworld, powerful leaders, and intricate criminal operations. Among these figures, a select few stand out due to their profound influence and the tales surrounding their exploits. This video delves into the lives of 10 such gang members, each a formidable presence in their respective criminal spheres. Number 1. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Born in the impoverished rural town of La Tuna in Sinaloa, Mexico, Joaquin Guzman, better known as El Chapo, rose to become one of the most infamous and powerful drug lords of our time. His early life in the mountainous terrains of Badiraguato saw hardship and poverty, factors that often push many towards the lucrative, albeit dangerous, world of drug trafficking. El Chapo's foray into the drug trade began in his early 20s. Working under renowned trafficker Pedro Aviles Perez, he quickly garnered a reputation for his ruthless efficiency. By the late 1970s, El Chapo had already started carving a niche for himself in the trade, transporting larger quantities of drugs and eliminating competition. The Sinaloa cartel, under Guzman's guidance, grew into a behemoth. Expanding operations into multiple countries, the cartel was responsible for a significant chunk of cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, and heroin entering the United States. Their method wasn't just based on drug trafficking. They diversified into other criminal activities, including money laundering, human trafficking, and organized assassinations. El Chapo's reign, while expansive, was not without its hurdles. His life was characterized by a series of dramatic escapes from authorities and rival gangs. In 1993, he was captured in Guatemala and extradited to Mexico, beginning his first stint behind bars. But in 2001, in a move straight out of a movie, he escaped from a maximum security prison in a laundry cart. A 13-year manhunt followed, culminating in his capture in 2014. However, the elusive Guzman managed to escape again in 2015 through an intricate tunnel system underneath his cell. His last taste of freedom was short-lived, as he was recaptured in 2016. Following an extradition to the U.S., Guzman faced trial and was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2019, currently incarcerated in the ADX Florence Supermax facility in Colorado. Number 2. James Whitey Bulger. James Whitey Bulger, a name that evokes a combination of awe and dread in the criminal world, was more than just a gangster. He was an enigma, a charismatic figure with ice-cold ruthlessness, who ruled the Boston underworld for decades and managed to elude authorities for years. Bulger's story began in the projects of South Boston, where he grew up in a gritty environment that often led young men down the path of crime. While his younger brother chose a life in politics, eventually becoming the president of the Massachusetts State Senate, Whitey took a darker path. His rap sheet started accumulating in his teenage years, including arrests for larceny and street fighting. The 1970s marked Bulger's ascent to criminal infamy as he took control of the Winter Hill Gang. The gang, primarily of Irish descent, was involved in a myriad of criminal enterprises throughout the Boston area. Under Bulger's leadership, the gang's operations expanded exponentially. He was a master strategist, known for his intelligence and his ability to strike fear into the hearts of both rivals and his own gang members. But Bulger's story takes a unique turn when considering his secret alliance with the FBI. Unbeknownst to many, he became an informant, providing the FBI with information on rival Italian gangs. This relationship effectively shielded him from law enforcement scrutiny, allowing his criminal empire to thrive unchecked. Corrupt agents turned a blind eye to his activities and in some cases even aided his operations. However, as the 90s approached, the walls began to close in on Bulger. In 1994, facing imminent arrest due to a federal indictment, Bulger went on the run. For 16 years he managed to evade capture, landing him a spot on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted Fugitives video. His time as a fugitive, filled with tales of sightings all over the world, became a stuff of legend. The end came in 2011 in a quiet apartment complex in Santa Monica, California. At the age of 81, Bulger was arrested without incident, his life on the lam finally over. The subsequent trial in 2013 saw him convicted of numerous crimes, including his involvement in 11 murders. He was sentenced to 2 life terms plus 5 years in prison. Number 3. Osiel Cardenas Guillen. The landscape of Mexican drug cartels is a turbulent one, marked by shifting allegiances, brutal violence, and vast fortunes made and lost. Within this tempestuous world, few figures have been as formidable or as feared as Osiel Cardenas Guillen. His rise, reign, and eventual fall offer a window into the complex, dangerous web of Mexico's narco culture. Osiel Cardenas Guillen's association with the Gulf Cartel began in the early 1990s. The Gulf Cartel, one of the oldest and most established drug trafficking organizations in Mexico, was then under the leadership of Juan Garcia Abrego. Guillen began as a low-level enforcer, but his ambition, audacity, and ruthlessness saw him climb the ranks rapidly. By the mid-90s, with Garcia Abrego's capture by Mexican authorities, a power vacuum emerged within the cartel. Guillen, seizing the opportunity, took control in 1997, eliminating rivals within the cartel in a bloody and violent coup. Under Guillen's stewardship, the Gulf Cartel reached unprecedented levels of power and influence. However, it was his establishment of the Los Zetas that truly marked his reign. Originally formed as a private army for the Gulf Cartel, Los Zetas consisted of former Mexican Special Forces operatives, known for their combat prowess and merciless tactics. With such a force at his disposal, Guillen's leadership style was characterized by unbridled violence and intimidation. Rivals, law enforcement, and even civilians felt the wrath of the Gulf Cartel under Guillen. Massacres, public executions, and brazen confrontations with authorities became the order of the day. Yet Guillen wasn't just a brutal enforcer, he was a shrewd strategist. He expanded the cartel's operations beyond drug trafficking, delving into other illicit businesses such as oil theft, human trafficking, and extortion. These diversified revenue streams ensured the Gulf Cartel's financial dominance in the underworld. However, as history has often shown, with great power comes great attention. Guillen became a prime target for both Mexican and U.S. authorities. His brazenness was evident in 1999 when he threatened 2 DEA agents and an FBI agent, leading to his indictment in the U.S. As pressure mounted, his days as a free man were numbered. In 2003, in a dramatic operation, Mexican authorities, with the assistance of the U.S., captured Guillen in a shootout in Matamoros. His arrest didn't just mark the end of his reign, but also heralded a new era of fragmentation and violence in the Mexican drug trade. In 2007, after years of legal wrangling, Guillen was extradited to the United States. Facing multiple charges, from drug trafficking to murder, he eventually pleaded guilty in 2010 and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Number 4. Domenico Roncadore. The Sicilian Mafia, also known as Cosa Nostra, is an organized crime syndicate whose origins trace back over a century. Throughout its history, it has seen numerous key figures, but few as intriguing and elusive as Domenico Roncadore. From Sicily's sun-drenched landscapes to the suburbs of London, Roncadore's life charts a narrative of power, evasion, and eventual capture. Domenico Roncadore's initiation into the Sicilian Mafia was, in many ways, a birthright. Born into a family with deep ties to the organization, he was destined to play a role in its operations. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, he rose through the ranks, becoming a central figure in the mafia-controlled region of Trebia near Palermo. His position earned him the nickname Il Professore, the Professor, a nod to his strategic acumen and leadership capabilities. Under Roncadore's supervision, the mafia's influence in Trebia was felt in almost every facet of daily life. Extortion rackets targeted businesses, ensuring a steady flow of income to the organization. Money laundering operations funneled illicit gains into legitimate enterprises, masking the true nature of the mafia's vast wealth. Rancador's leadership also saw the mafia's involvement in more violent pursuits. From contract killings to intimidation tactics, the mark of Cosa Nostra was unmistakable and pervasive. Yet, Rancador's influence wasn't merely confined to criminal activities. He wielded significant political power, ensuring that the mafia's interests were well represented in local governance. Bribes, threats, and strategic alliances with politicians ensured that the organization operated with relative impunity, with law enforcement often turning a blind eye to its activities. However, the latter half of the 1990s witnessed a turning point. The Italian government ramped up its anti-mafia operations, leading to numerous arrests and crackdowns. Rancador, sensing the tide turning against him, made a surprising move. He fled Italy and took refuge in the United Kingdom. Living under the alias Mark Skinner, Rancador led a quiet life in Uxbridge, West London. This quiet suburban existence was a stark contrast to his previous life as a mafia kingpin. For over 2 decades, he lived undetected, with his neighbors oblivious to his true identity. The facade came crumbling down in 2013 when Italian authorities, in collaboration with British law enforcement, arrested Rancador. The revelation of his true identity sent shockwaves through the community, with many struggling to reconcile the friendly, suburban Mark Skinner with the notorious U Professore. Following a lengthy legal battle regarding his extradition to Italy, Rancador was eventually sentenced in absentia by the Italian courts to 7 years in prison for mafia association. However, due to legal complexities and health concerns, he has remained in the UK under stringent restrictions. Number 5. Semyon Mogilevich. In the annals of organized crime, the Russian mob holds a unique and shadowy position, often operating with a level of sophistication and global reach that rivals well-established crime syndicates. At the heart of this intricate network, one name stands out with both respect and trepidation: Semyon Mogilevich. Often dubbed the boss of bosses of the Russian mafia, Mogilevich's tale is one of ambition, intelligence, and the dark arts of underworld business. Born in 1946 in Kiev, Ukraine, Mogilevich began his criminal journey with petty scams and frauds in the Soviet Union. However, as the USSR began its descent into political and economic chaos in the 1980s and 1990s, Mogilevich sensed opportunities that would set him apart from other criminal aspirants. Utilizing his astute understanding of economics and global markets, he swiftly moved from small-time schemes to sophisticated operations that spanned continents. Under Mogilevich's guidance, the Russian mob ventured into a wide array of criminal enterprises. Money laundering became a specialty, with billions of dollars funneled through a network of banks, shell companies, and legitimate businesses. This not only generated immense wealth, but also allowed Mogilevich to embed himself in the global financial system, rendering detection and prosecution extremely difficult. Yet, money laundering was just the tip of the iceberg. Mogilevich's criminal portfolio expanded to include arms trafficking, trading nuclear material, prostitution rings, drug trade, and even art theft. His operations stretched from Eastern Europe to North America, making him one of the most influential criminal figures globally. One of his most notorious scams was the manipulation of stocks in the company YBM Magnex International. Through a series of complex financial machinations, the company's stock prices were artificially inflated, leading to a market cap of over $1 billion on the Toronto Stock Exchange. The eventual exposure of this scheme was a testament to Mogilevich's audacity and his ability to exploit the very fabric of the global financial system. Such widespread activities inevitably caught the attention of global law enforcement agencies. Mogilevich found himself on the radar of agencies ranging from the FBI to Interpol. The FBI even placed him on their 10 Most Wanted Fugitives video, branding him as the most dangerous mobster in the world. In 2008, the net finally closed in on Mogilevich when he was arrested in Moscow on tax evasion charges. Though this charge seemed minor compared to the breadth of his alleged criminal activities, it was a significant move by Russian authorities, who had long been perceived as reluctant to act against him. However, in a turn of events that underscores the complexities of prosecuting such figures, he was released in 2009 and has since remained free, albeit under the watchful eye of international agencies. Number 6. Francisco Javier Arellano Felix. Among the annals of Mexico's turbulent drug war, the Arellano Felix family, often referred to as the Tijuana Cartel, holds a dark and indomitable legacy. At the helm of this infamous syndicate was Francisco Javier Arellano Felix. Under his leadership, the Tijuana Cartel commanded a vast territory and was implicated in a slew of criminal activities, primarily drug trafficking. Emerging from a lineage steeped in crime, Francisco Javier ascended the cartel's ranks following the arrests and deaths of his elder brothers, who previously led the organization. His tenure was marked by an escalation in violence, with the cartel frequently clashing with rivals for control of lucrative drug smuggling routes into the United States. The cartel's modus operandi was ruthlessly efficient: corruption of law enforcement officials, brutal assassinations, and a vast network of informants and enforcers. Such tactics ensured the Tijuana cartel's dominance and made Francisco Javier one of the DEA's most wanted fugitives. However, like many before him, the illusion of invincibility was shattered in 2006. In a high-stakes operation, the U.S. Coast Guard captured Francisco Javier while he was on a fishing expedition off the coast of Baja California. The arrest was a significant achievement for U.S. law enforcement, representing a collaboration between multiple agencies. Extradited and tried in the United States, Francisco Javier was sentenced to life imprisonment for his role in the cartel's vast drug trafficking enterprise. Today, he remains behind bars, a testament to the ongoing efforts to curb the power and reach of criminal syndicates that continue to plague the Americas. Number 7. Matteo Messina Denaro. The Sicilian Mafia, or Cosa Nostra, is a name that evokes images of sun-drenched Sicilian landscapes juxtaposed with dark tales of power, violence, and a code of silence called omerta. Among the modern figures who have embodied the sinister aura of the Mafia, Matteo Messina Denaro stands out as a particularly elusive and influential character. Born in 1962 in Castelvetrano, Sicily, Denaro grew up deeply entrenched in the world of the Mafia. His father, Francesco Messina Denaro, was a powerful capomafia, ensuring that young Matteo was introduced early to the life of crime. But unlike many heirs to criminal empires, Denaro did not ride merely on his father's coattails. He carved his own path, and by the 1990s had gained notoriety not just for his ruthlessness, but also for his flamboyance. Known for his love of fast cars, designer watches, and young women, Denaro was often described as the Playboy Don. As a key figure in the Cosa Nostra, Denaro's criminal reach was vast. He was implicated in a slew of crimes, from extortion rackets and drug trafficking to a significant role in the deadly bombings that rocked Italy in the early 90s. The bombings, which targeted Italian cultural and historic sites, were viewed as the Mafia's brazen challenge to Italian authorities who were cracking down on organized crime. This audacious act further solidified Denaro's reputation as a fearless and defiant leader within the Mafia's ranks. The vast network of corruption and influence within the Italian system that Denaro and his compatriots had cultivated made it exceedingly difficult for authorities to track and capture him. Denaro went into hiding in the early 1990s, and despite being one of the most wanted men in Italy and Europe, managed to evade capture for decades. His ability to remain a ghost, combined with his continued influence over the Cosa Nostra's operations, earned him the moniker of boss of all bosses by some sections of the media. In the narrative of Matteo Messina Denaro, there is a persistent theme of dichotomy. A man deeply rooted in the traditions of the Mafia, yet modern in his tastes and outlook. A man who, on one hand, upholds the strict code of the Cosa Nostra, and on the other, isn't shy about showcasing his lavish lifestyle. However, it's essential to clarify that as of my last update in September 2021, Matteo Messina Denaro has not been captured. While authorities have arrested many of his associates and seized assets linked to him, Denaro himself remains at large. Efforts to locate and apprehend him continue, with Italian authorities considering his capture a top priority. Number 8. Chang Lo. The underworld of East Asia is a labyrinth of interconnected criminal enterprises where tradition intersects with modern-day felonies. In this complex terrain, Taiwan's Bamboo Union Gang emerges as one of the region's most formidable triads. A name synonymous with the Bamboo Union's rise and resilience is Chang An-lo, also known as the White Wolf. Born in 1948, Chang An-lo's roots in organized crime trace back to his youthful days in Taipei, Taiwan. As a teenager, he found solace and purpose within the ranks of the Bamboo Union, a triad that would soon evolve into one of the most influential crime syndicates in Taiwan and beyond. Chang's initial engagements revolved around street-level crimes, but his ambition and knack for strategic maneuvering saw him ascend the triad's hierarchy rapidly. Chang An-lo's tenure in the Bamboo Union was marked by a mix of traditional gang activities and more innovative criminal endeavors. Extortion, gambling, and loan sharking were part and parcel of the triad's operations. However, under Chang's leadership and vision, the gang also diversified into white-collar crimes, including securities fraud and large-scale financial scams. Beyond Taiwan's shores, Chang was instrumental in extending the Bamboo Union's tentacles internationally. He established connections with criminal enterprises in the United States, Japan, and mainland China. This global network facilitated a multitude of illegal activities, from drug trafficking to arms smuggling. Under Chang's stewardship, the Bamboo Union transformed from a local Taiwanese gang into a transnational criminal organization. However, it wasn't just the breadth of his criminal enterprises that made Chang An-lo a standout figure in the underworld. He was known for his shrewdness, often blurring the lines between legitimate business and criminal activities. This ability to navigate both worlds made it exceedingly difficult for authorities to pin him down. Moreover, Chang had a knack for forming alliances, often forging ties with political figures and influential businessmen, further safeguarding his operations. Despite his extensive criminal involvements, Chang An-lo's relationship with the Taiwanese authorities has been complicated. In the 1980s, he fled to mainland China to evade a crackdown on organized crime. There, he lived openly for years, reportedly establishing businesses and even maintaining links with the Chinese Communist Party. However, Chang's long-standing evasion of justice ended when he voluntarily returned to Taiwan in 2013, facing a series of legal challenges but also attempting to reinvent his public image. Number 9. Christopher Dudas Koch. The Caribbean island of Jamaica, renowned for its lush landscapes, reggae music, and cultural vibrancy, has also been home to some of the world's most notorious crime syndicates. Among them, the Shower Posse stands out, both for its extensive criminal activities and its indelible link to one man, Christopher Dudas Koch. Christopher Koch's path into the underworld was in many ways preordained. His father, Lester Lloyd Koch, or Jim Brown, was a foundational figure in the formation of the Shower Posse during the 1980s. Growing up, Dudas was deeply enmeshed in the gang's operations, gradually assuming leadership roles and eventually taking over the reins following his father's death. Under Dudas's leadership, the Shower Posse expanded its influence far beyond the streets of Kingston, Jamaica. The gang established extensive drug trafficking routes, primarily dealing in cocaine and marijuana, spanning the Caribbean, North America, and the United Kingdom. However, it wasn't merely the breadth of their operations that made them notorious, it was their modus operandi. The name Shower Posse alluded to their reputation for showering their enemies with bullets, and the gang was responsible for hundreds of murders both in Jamaica and abroad. Yet in Tivoli Gardens, the Kingston neighborhood that was the gang's stronghold, Dudas was a figure of contradiction. To many, he was a Robin Hood-like figure, using the proceeds from his illicit enterprises to fund community projects, provide for the needy, and even arbitrate local disputes. This dual role ensured Koch's grip over the community, as he was both feared and revered. However, as the Shower Posse's notoriety grew, so did the attention from law enforcement agencies. By the late 2000s, the U.S. had labeled Koch as one of the world's most dangerous drug lords and sought his extradition from Jamaica. The Jamaican government's initial hesitance to hand Koch over exposed the deep-seated links between the political establishment and criminal gangs. When the government finally acquiesced to the U.S.'s demands in 2010, Tivoli Gardens became a battleground. Clashes between the Shower Posse's loyalists and the Jamaican security forces resulted in over 70 deaths, a testament to the depth of Coke's influence and the ferocity of his protectors. Coke was eventually captured and extradited to the U.S., where he pleaded guilty to drug trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy charges. In 2012, he was sentenced to 23 years in a U.S. federal prison, marking the end of his reign over the Shower Posse. Yet the legacy of Christopher Dudas Coke remains emblematic of the intricate nexus between crime, politics, and community in Jamaica. A web where loyalty, fear, and power intertwine in complex ways. Number 10. Servando Latuta Gomez Martinez. The narco tapestry of Mexico, rich in its characters and infamous for its relentless violence, has witnessed the emergence and fall of many kingpins. In this chaotic landscape, Servando Latuta Gomez Martinez, with his peculiar blend of charisma and cruelty, carved a unique space for himself as the leader of the Knights Templar cartel. Originally a schoolteacher, Gomez Martinez's metamorphosis from educator to drug lord is emblematic of the pervasive reach and allure of the narco economy in regions like Michoacán. The Knights Templar cartel, an offshoot of the disbanded La Familia Michoacana, evolved under Latuta's leadership into a potent criminal force. Unlike many cartels that operate in the shadows, the Knights Templar, under Gomez Martinez, embraced a quasi-religious ideology, seeing themselves as protectors of the community, while simultaneously engaging in a slew of criminal activities. In Michoacán, a state known for its agriculture and mineral wealth, the cartel diversified its criminal portfolio beyond drug trafficking. Extortion, illegal mining, kidnapping, and the production and trafficking of methamphetamines became staples of their illicit enterprise. Gomez Martinez, with his gift for oratory, often presented these activities as a means of defending Michoacán from rival cartels and corrupt officials, even as his own operations inflicted untold suffering upon the populace. Latuta's influence in Michoacán wasn't just built on fear. He cultivated a Robin Hood-esque image, portraying himself and his cartel as benefactors of the people. He often held public events, distributed goods to the needy, and wasn't shy of courting the media. Several videos surfaced where Gomez Martinez was seen engaging in candid discussions with politicians, law enforcement officials, and even journalists, showcasing the depth of corruption and the cartel's tentacles within the state's machinery. However, the Mexican government, under increasing pressure to tackle the burgeoning drug war, intensified its efforts to capture cartel leaders. In 2014, federal forces, in collaboration with local self-defense militias, fed up with the cartel's tyranny, initiated a crackdown on the Knights Templars' strongholds in Michoacán. This strategic assault weakened the cartel's grip and made its leaders, including Gomez Martinez, vulnerable. In early 2015, the net finally closed in on Latuta. He was captured by the Mexican police in Morelia, the capital of Michoacán, without a single shot fired. His arrest marked a significant victory for the Mexican government in its battle against organized crime. Servando Latuta Gomez Martinez is currently incarcerated, facing numerous charges ranging from organized crime to murder. His capture, while a blow to the Knights Templar, is a sobering reminder of the challenges that persist in uprooting the deep-seated networks of organized crime in Mexico.